peoples of the worldwide federated internet. What's good? Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Thinking. I don't know how many of you pay attention to cryptocurrency. I was put on a cryptocurrency probably about, I want to say 4 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, something like that. I thought it was a joke initially, didn't really pay much attention to it, didn't really give it much of the time of day. And part of me thinks that that's actually what is desired by people in higher financial positions because of the potential of cryptocurrency. But the cryptocurrency that's been in the news more than in a bad way the past couple days is XRP. Weird things that I don't really understand and that don't really seem to make sense. I want to give you some history of XRP, a little bit of history, and read some other things and kind of give my opinion. This might go really long because I'm going to read some articles because I kind of want to give a backdrop to what it is that I think. So I want to get to these articles. The first article is, well, really, it's not an article. It's xrpl.org. It kind of gives you a running history of XRP, which I don't think it's that long. I don't know if I'm going to read it all. So anyway, fascinated by Bitcoin. Okay, so let me start off from the beginning. In 2011, 3 engineers, David Schwartz, Jay McCaleb, and Arthur Brito, began developing the XRP ledger. Fascinated by Bitcoin, they set out to create a better version that improved upon its limitations, with the goal of creating a digital asset that was more sustainable and built specifically for payments. The XRP ledger first launched in 2012. Shortly thereafter, they were joined by Chris Larsen, and the group started the company OpenCoin in September 2012, now named Ripple. So the ledger went live in 2012, and the company OpenCoin was created in September 2012. The founders of the XRP ledger gifted 80 billion XRP to the company. Ripple has since sold some of its XRP and put the rest in escrow. Remember that they gave this company the 80 billion XRP. So this company is not the owner of XRP, the token, the coin. The history of XRP ledger, the history of the XRP ledger and its native digital assets XRP dates back to early 2011 when 3 developers, David Schwartz, Jed McCaleb, and Arthur Brito, were fascinated with Bitcoin but observed the waste inherent in mining. They sought to create a better system for sending value, an idea outlined in May 2011 forum post Bitcoin Without Mining. The initial observations about the high energy consumption and scalability issues that would plague Bitcoin proved prescient. In 2019, estimates suggested Bitcoin mining used more energy than the entire country of Portugal. Moreover, their initial read indicated that significant problems could arise if any mining could arise if any miner obtained greater than 50% of the mining power. That risk persists with Bitcoin and Ethereum today as mining power has consolidated in China. And that is true. I'm going to read an article where it talks about that, which, okay, so I was going to go to another thought, kind of getting ahead of myself. All right. In 2011 and early 2012, the trio of developers started a project to build a distributed ledger that improved upon these fundamental limitations of Bitcoin. Their first ever code commit was in November 2011. They wrote code that, when executed, would create a distributed ledger, which they named Ripple. It concluded a digital asset that would be called Ripple's XRP as the currency code. To follow the same naming convention as Bitcoin BTC, at the time, Ripple stood for the open source project, the unique consensus ledger, Ripple Consensus Ledger Transactions Protocol, Ripple Transactions Protocol, or RTXP, the network Ripple Network, and the digital asset known as Ripples. In practice, this approach led to many broad uses of Ripple. To clarify, the community simply started calling the digital asset XRP. By June 2012, Schwartz, McCabe, and Brito completed code development, and the XRP ledger was fully functioning. So yeah, remember that was in June. At the time, they decided their next move would be to gift 80 billion XRP to not yet formed private company that would work with the broader community as well as pursue its own payments mission. The ledger code itself would be open source and for anyone to use. They all agreed on how to allocate the XRP among themselves and the future company, and they eventually created a company along with Chris Larsen in September 2012. Once the XRP ledger was fully functioning, 80% of the XRP was gifted to the company initially called Newcoin and renamed quickly to OpenCoin. Chris Larsen was the CEO of OpenCoin, and at the company's founding, Jed was co-founder and CTO. David Schwartz was the chief cryptography officer, and Arthur Brito an advisor. At the outset of the company, OpenCoin set out to revolutionize the global financial system. Despite the revolutionary ideals of many of Bitcoin's early believers, Larsen never thought blockchain technology should be used to overthrow the existing financial system. He believed that history's most transformative innovations have always relied on the great ideas that came before them, not disrupting them. We don't necessarily agree with that. In early conversations with potential customers, the team was asked about the differences between the Ripple project and OpenCoin Company, with the community starting to call the digital asset by its currency code XRP more widely. Company leaders decided to rebrand the company to Ripple Labs, which has been shortened over time to Ripple. Today, the company uses XRP and the XRP ledger for liquidity management in its cross-border payments business. Ripple also remains a stakeholder and contributor to the broader XRP community. So just a little history about Ripple XRP, and I'm going to read you from this article. 3 countries host over 50% of the world's Bitcoin nodes. But I'm not going to read the whole article. I just want to get to this. There's a little excerpt in here about China that is interesting. I think this is the part right here where it gets there. Let me see. I'm just going to start at the beginning. Research from cryptocurrency and blockchain analytics firm Datalight shows just how geographically distributed the Bitcoin network is. As of February 24th, 2019, nearly 3/4 of all Bitcoin nodes were located in just 10 countries. The research shows the US leads the pack with 2,625 nodes, followed by Germany and France with 2,016 and 698 respectively. Incredibly, these three countries are responsible for over 50% of all potential Bitcoin nodes. This might come as a surprise to some, as earlier research from 2018 showed that China has the power to potentially derail Bitcoin and illicitly influence its network. However, the important distinction here is that China has this power as a result of mining pools. The mining nodes, while China only hosts 411 nodes, many nodes outside of the country are part of China's owned mining pools. Perhaps most increasingly, though, is Singapore and the Netherlands' presence on this list. Both relatively small countries, they represent the greatest density of Bitcoin nodes per capita, with 17,700 and 32,000 citizens per node, respectively. For context, the US has over 120,000 people per node. So, just a little article, and it mentioned the influence of China. So the SEC has sued Ripple, the company, for selling what they call unregistered securities. And I know this is a lot of financial and investment jargon, so I wanted to read this article that went over what's called the Howey test, which determines if a company is selling a security. And this is kind of a lengthy article. I won't read the whole thing, but just to kind of get you to maybe get in a mind frame to understand what a security is. If something falls within the definition of a security under applicable law, it will be governed by extensive rules and regulations that can be quite complex and expensive to comply with. The definition of security can be quite broad. Securities definition under federal law, the Howey test. Over the years, many schemes for raising capital have been devised in attempts to avoid application of the securities laws. These schemes have been analyzed by the courts to determine whether they are investment contracts and therefore securities under the federal definition. The leading case on the definition of an investment contract is the U.S. Supreme Court case SEC versus W.J. Howey Company. Under the Howey test, an investment contract is a contract, transaction, or scheme whereby a person invests his money in a company, enterprise, and is led to expect profits solely from the efforts of the promoter or third party. The investment of money prong of the Howey test requires that the investor commit his or her assets to the enterprise in such manner as to subject the investor to financial loss. The focus of the inquiry is on what the purchasers were offered or promised. The test for determining whether an instrument is a security is what character the instrument is given in commerce by the terms of the offer, the plan of distribution, and the economic inducements held out to the prospect. The Supreme Court has defined profits as either capital appreciation resulting from the development of the initial investment or a participation in earnings resulting from the use of investors' funds. The promised return may be fixed by variable and may be marked as low risk or guaranteed. The Howey Court noted that its definition of a security embodies a flexible rather than a static principle, one that is capable of adaptation to meet the countless and variable schemes devised by those who seek to use the money of others on the promise of profits. The courts have rejected attempts to narrow the definition of a security, as Opinion put it. Searching for the meaning and scope of the word security form should be discarded for substance, and the emphasis should be on economic reality. Courts have frequently examined the promotional materials associated with an instrument in determining whether it is a security. If the materials promise things like great returns or guarantee income, the court will almost certainly find the instrument to be a security and therefore subject to federal securities regulations. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know much about legal jargon, nor do I proclaim to know anything about legal jargon. But looking up all of that stuff about securities and looking at how the SEC classifies this and looking at this case law and court cases, man, it could give you a headache. And sometimes I feel like the financial system and structure is done this way on purpose to scare really the common person from looking into this stuff and trying to gain financial independence. If you have a country filled with people who are financially independent, you have a country that you cannot rule with the iron fist. And whether you believe it or not, throughout history, we've seen people who want to rule over people within their country, within their borders. They want subjects. People get drunken with power. This is played out throughout history. This is not a surprise. It's not shocking. This is nothing that is hard to believe. We've seen it. What I find odd is, so I know many of you may not have been paying attention to cryptocurrency at all, but over the years, XRP, or let's not talk about XRP. Ripple, the company, has been working closely and talking to regulators on a regular basis, asking them to give them some legal clarity into XRP, the token. They have wanted to know for the longest time, okay, are you going to consider this a security or a commodity? We would like to know because we want to move forward. And Ripple Labs is probably one of the only companies that have partnership deals with major banks that plan on using Ripple Labs software suites in conjunction with XRP, the token, for cross-border transactions and remittances. This is a big deal for cryptocurrency. The current network that's used for cross-border transactions is something called Swift. It's had some updates and some upgrades, but it's relatively cumbersome and slow compared to the software suites that Ripple Labs offers. And with those software suites, they use XRP, the token, for those cross-border transactions. So the Securities and Exchange Commission is now, years later, after Ripple has been asking them constantly, okay, how do you classify this? We want regulatory clarity. We'd like to know. They're, like I said, the only company that has been working closely with banks and financial institutions. And a lot of people within the cryptocurrency community don't like that. And there's many people who believe that this is the move to the one world government and the one world currency. Well, I'm here to let you know we've already been using a one world currency for years, the petrodollar. That has been the world currency for years. So when people say that, I'm like, you kind of missed the boat on that one. We've already been using that. So there's not a new thing. The thing about cryptocurrency is cryptocurrency, it really, I'm not going to say it eliminates the need for banks, because banks are not going to go away. Just like the way I see cryptocurrency is similar to what happened to the record industry. We have the digital space now has changed the face of how music is distributed. Record labels didn't go away. They just modified the way they do business, and they're still making money, and they're still large. There may not be as many labels, and labels might not have maybe all of the power that they once had, but trust me, they still have power. They still have their thumb on the scales of what happens musically in that industry. And I think the same thing will be done with banking. You won't get rid of banks. Look, I understand the history of Bitcoin, why it was created, the purpose it was created. It was to allegedly give more power to the common person over their own finances and eliminate the middleman, i.e. the banks. You're talking about industries and families with tentacles everywhere. You're not going to get rid of the industry completely. You might be able to completely modify this industry in a way that they can't stop, sort of like media. The media conglomerates don't really like social media because it gives the power of information to the common person. You don't really need newspapers and magazines right now. And major news organizations, they're pretty much just about a joke because they're really not in the business of actually disseminating information. All of these networks are just in the business of selling propaganda, and most people are beginning to catch on to that. That's why independent news sources are beginning to make a huge rise. I say beginning, they've already made a huge rise. And there's the powers that be are seeking to really play whack-a-mole on that one and completely get rid of it, but it's hard for them to do. The cat is out the bag. Cryptocurrency is the same way. The cat is out the bag. You can't put it back in. What I find odd is Ripple, the company, has been requesting for years, going to the SEC and saying, hey, we need regulatory clarity. All of the other regulatory bodies, not all of the other, but most of the other major, called G3 countries, have given regulatory clarity to XRP, and they've all determined it's not a security. Why is the US the only country that's been holding out? And why after Ripple Labs has been talking to the SEC, been very open with the SEC, not that they've been open with us, the normal people, that's not what I'm saying, but Ripple Labs have been talking to the SEC for years. I've read so many articles about Ripple company, Ripple Labs, Brad Garlinghouse goes to the SEC, talks to the SEC, requests this from the SEC. They've been open. Hey, give us some regulatory clarity. All of the other major countries have. You're the only one holding out. Ripple Labs has been conducting their business since 2012, and the SEC allows them to conduct their business for this long and waits this long in the 10th hour to now sue XRP. I am no investment guy. If you were to follow my advice on investments with my history, you'd lose money. But what I will say that's definitely odd is, why did the SEC wait this long? Bitcoin has been going crazy, and when Bitcoin started rising, it hit an all-time high of 24,000 a couple days ago. It's been fluctuating back and forth in the $23,000 range, which is still more than it's ever been. And if you know anything about cryptocurrency, when Bitcoin rises, all of the other altcoins, as they're called, followed. There's the three major cryptocurrencies. You have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, and you have XRP. So we saw in the article where China, because of their mining pools, they have a really huge stake and somewhat, I wouldn't say control, but they can definitely heavily influence Bitcoin. Ethereum has mining pools, and the same thing could happen. XRP is a different animal. Just my opinion, I could be wrong. The powers that be, the rich people behind the scenes, the wizard behind the curtain calling the shots, do you think that these people in positions of power want scores of people, thousands of average people to become filthy rich? Not even. It is my opinion that for years, a lot of major corporations, a lot of major investors told people Bitcoin was a joke on purpose because they saw the writing on the wall. They knew what was coming. So to scare people away from investing in Bitcoin, you get people, investment gurus that people trust, and they say, hey, I would stay away from it as a joke. I heard that so much, then people are singing different tunes now. You literally have IRAs, 401k accounts that dedicate whole sections to cryptocurrency investments. So now you take this token XRP that was worth, it's dropped down now, was worth 98 cents about a week ago, and it's been fluctuating up and down, kind of settled down at 50 cents. And now with this SEC news and lawsuit out, people are dumping it, and it's down to I want to say, last time I checked, let me check, it's down to 26 cents now. Now what does that do? Let's consider this, and I'm not saying that this is 100% the case, but I would not be surprised. Little people are invested in XRP. When you hear the SEC is suing Ripple, the common person doesn't know what that means. They just know this is a government regulatory body that's suing Ripple Labs that uses XRP. Oh, this is dangerous. I'm letting go of all my coins. If you were, let's say you were rich elites, and there are rich elites. If you do not believe that, I guess you're living under a rock. Let's say you're part of the rich elites, and you know there's a lot of people who own XRP. There's a lot of XRP wallets out there, and a lot of little people are buying into this. If this thing takes off, we're going to have a whole nother group of people who are financially independent and don't need us. We lose control. We lose control and power. We start losing money. We need to scare these little people out of their coins so we can buy those coins up. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but I'm saying, looking at all of this, it doesn't make sense. So Ripple Labs has been in business since 2012. XRP has been a thing since into 2011 or so. They've been going to the SEC. They've been asking for regulatory clarity. All of these other major nations have given Ripple Labs regulatory clarity on what they think about XRP, and they don't consider it a security. But the US SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, comes down and sues Ripple Labs for allegedly selling unregistered securities. So I've heard different arguments, and I don't understand I'm not going to say that I completely understand this whole idea of securities. But if I'm not mistaken, if Ripple Labs, the company, were to collapse and fold right now, XRP would still be traded and sold. So wouldn't that eliminate the whole idea that XRP is a security? When you buy XRP on whatever platform you choose, no one who buys XRP thinks that they're buying into Ripple, the company. Now, of course, if Ripple Labs says something, will it affect the price of XRP? Could it? Absolutely. But the same thing is true about Bitcoin. Just because there's no central figure or face of Bitcoin doesn't mean that different financial figures can't say things that will affect the price. So if that's the argument for XRP being a security, yeah, I'm not buying it. Something is fishy. Something doesn't seem right. It seems to me like the powers that be are looking to scam normal people out of their XRP token so big investment firms can swoop in and buy up all of these tokens and eliminate as many potential financially independent individuals as possible. I don't know that that's the case, and I can't prove that, but there's just looking at some of these things and looking at the circumstantial evidence, again, this doesn't make sense. Why would the SEC out of nowhere sue Ripple Labs when they've been forthright with the SEC for years, asking them, hey, we need some regulatory clarity so we can move forward? Why didn't the SEC 4 years ago just say, all right, we're going to declare XRP a security, which is fine. People can still buy it. It can be bought, sold, and traded on the regular stock market, but there's some other regulations that it's going to fall under because it's a security. Why didn't they do that years ago? Why did they wait this long to now sue Ripple Labs? And again, scaring people out of their XRP. I'm no guy to give investment advice. I'm a normal dude, average dude, definitely not rich. I've made some investments in the past that did decent, but definitely nothing crazy. But I find this completely odd, and I think this is one of those situations where you have something that has the potential to change people's lives and make people very wealthy. Not necessarily, I'm not going to say this is going to make people filthy rich, but just imagine if you bought, so XRP right now is at 26 cents a coin. I'm going to give you an example, right? So let's say they determine that XRP is a security. Ripple Labs pays a small fine and XRP is still sold, bought, and traded. That's not going to change that. But you see, the average person is not going to know that. They're scared by lawsuits. You hear lawsuit, you don't want anything to do with that, especially when it comes to taxes and any kind of Securities and Exchange Commission or anything like that. When you hear lawsuit, that's a hot potato. Psychological. You don't want to touch that. So let's say if a person, let's say, saved up $1,000 and bought some XRP, right, at 26 cents a coin. That would put that at 3,846 coins. Let's say the SEC says, okay, this is a security. Ripple Labs pay this fine. XRP is not going to be pulled down from it's still going to be bought and sold. Right now, all of the people who got scared and sold all of their coins, the little people, right, that just spent a couple $100, you know, on a few different cryptocurrencies. That $1,000, let's say if Bitcoin goes to 1 million or 100 million per coin, which is very possible, and a lot of analysts have said that's very possible. I've read behind a couple people that said that would put the potential of XRP at like 10,000 per coin. That would mean that $1,000 purchase would make somebody quite a bit of money. you're talking about $38 million from $1,000 purchase. I don't know about you, but that's a whole lot of money. Could it be that the powers that be know that there's little people, average people, holding thousands of XRP tokens? We can't allow all of these people to gain money. And when you look at the percentage of people who are invested in cryptocurrency worldwide, it is a very small percentage. Most people just write it off as a joke. Imagine if you would have bought Bitcoin when it was 6 cents a coin, back when everyone in the financial community was saying it's a joke. Think about that. Bitcoin was 6 cents a coin. If you would have, let's say if you would have invested $100 into Bitcoin when it was 6 cents a coin, that would have given you 1,666 Bitcoins. At its current price of $23,000, that would give you 38 million off a $100 purchase. Imagine the shift in power if enough people cut out the noise and said, let me look at these different technologies and let me invest. I remember reading articles and seeing people say, different financial institutions, different big investors, different big money guys, respectable guys, definitely know more than me. Like I said, I'm nothing. I don't know anything. And they were all saying Bitcoin is a joke. Don't buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a joke. Don't buy Bitcoin. Now almost all of these people are heavily invested in Bitcoin, while they told the little people don't invest. I don't know this for a fact. This is just one of those gut things that may or may not be true, but something tells me that a similar thing is going on with XRP right now. As cheap as XRP is, I am convinced that the power people, the shakers, the movers, the big financial establishment, they do not want to see not even hundreds of thousands of people become wealthy, financially independent, and add to that pool. They don't want that. Now, this might just be pie in the sky thoughts that are not true, but just looking at things that don't make sense. I'm trying to make sense of this, and I'm like, I don't get this. Why now? Why did they do this in this way? Look, I don't know. And everything I'm saying, it might be, just completely wrong. I'm definitely not saying I'm right. But I am saying, looking at the history of cryptocurrency and looking at how everybody ridiculed Bitcoin for years to only turn around and start adopting Bitcoin and investing in Bitcoin. I think, and I said this, I think when all of these big wigs, financial power movers were telling people that Bitcoin is a joke, they were also buying up Bitcoin at the same time and not saying anything. Don't be bamboozled. Y'all know what it is. Stay frosty, people.